will I rule Liberia, but I shall endeavor to rule the whole of Africa by uniting the continent.
Into one?
This is my goal, my objective, and my aim in my lifetime, to see Africa united.
With A.B. Tolbert as president.
When the 17 men plotted to remove Tolbert, Doe was the only highest ranking person, meaning he would be the leader of the head of state. But when they went to execute the plan, Doe went hiding himself in a flower bush. So if the coup had failed, Doe did not ever be part of the people. So before going to execute the plan, they choose what they wanted. They all agreed to make Doe the president. Kwamba would be the commanding general.
Officers raided the executive mansion of President William Tolbert. Liberia experienced the first coup d'etat of its 133-year-old history. As news spread of the downfall of the Tolbert government, the general populace grew anxious. Tolbert's government had made their lives miserable. He had increased the price of food and used his private army and police to terrorize and kill those who disagreed with his policies. With Tolbert dead, the rest of his cabinet would now stand trial. In all cases, their charges would be the same: high treason, misuse of public office, rampant corruption, and gross violation of human and constitutional rights.
Right there. Yeah, sit down. Hold. Promulgated by Ministerial Decree signed and order approved. It is hereby enacted by the People's Redemption Council of the Republic of Liberia. 1. High treason. It shall constitute a crime of high treason, a first-degree felony, if A. By rampant corruption, a public officer selfishly accumulates wealth to himself and thereby denies or negates a fair distribution of the national wealth to his fellow citizens, and thereby necessitating a military coup d'etat as the only means of liberating the people. Signed, Master Sergeant Samuel K. Doe, Chairman of the People's Redemption Council and Head of State of the Republic of Liberia. Chairman, I am not guilty of any act of treason as outlined in the act by you, which I've just read, as proposing projects, programs, and plans for the government. Which were mainly intended to serve people. What we want to know here is that you have worked in the government for 18 years. And on top of that, you are a Liberian citizen. We want to know whether, in your own opinion, the democratic processes that have been going on through the years, the Liberian government, in the instrumentality of the True Party, do you think it has been monopolized by just few people, which has excluded the masses of the Liberian people from taking part? That's the question. It has not taken into account the feelings of the masses of the people because the decisions were made by only a few people.
The military tribunal tried 13 government officials of the Tolbert regime. All of them were found guilty and condemned to death by a firing squad. A public execution was to be staged on the beachfront of Monrovia, Liberia's capital city.
today, and we're very proud of that. We have a great relationship with you.
What reaction are you getting on the tax bill, Mr. President?
If you have any questions, we'll investigate.
Did we cave in on Taiwan?
Only the press, not us.
Your critics insist you're abandoning Taiwan, Mr. President.
They're not telling the truth.
It's been a pleasure to welcome Liberian Head of State Samuel K. Doe on his first visit to the United States. It's especially fitting that we should be meeting this year as the United States and Liberia celebrate 120 years of diplomatic relations. Our discussions gave us an opportunity to reaffirm the special friendship and mutual respect between our two countries. Clearly, a firm bond unites Liberians and Americans who have come together professionally and socially throughout the years. Our two governments have a long history of cooperation on bilateral and international issues. Chairman Doe told me of his government's ambitious goals, including the return to democratic institutions and economic stabilization. We welcome his emphasis on bringing the benefits of development to every corner of Liberia, and today we discussed how the United States can assist Liberia in achieving these goals. As I stated clearly in our discussion, the United States stands by its commitments to Liberia and looks forward to continued mutual cooperation. My meeting with Chairman Doe marks the beginning of his 2-week visit to the United States, and he made me a little envious when he told me that his next stop after Washington is going to be, well, not exactly the next stop, but the next one after is going to be Los Angeles, California. But in addition to meeting with a wide range of administration officials and members of the Congress, he will have an opportunity to meet many Americans outside the government and Liberians who live in the United States as well. The personal ties among our private citizens play an important role in the special relationship between our two countries. I hope the long-standing ties between our two people and between our governments will be further strengthened in the years ahead. And Mr. Chairman, you are most welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen of the press, I am extremely happy to be in the United States of America, long considered the lands of free and the home of the brave. My visit here today is a response to the kind invitation extended me by President Ronald Reagan, a man of abiding courage, strong will, and foresight. As you know, Liberia and the United States have a long and historic friendship which spans more than 150 years. However, as Liberia's first indigenous leader to visit the United States, my presence here is significant in two principal respects. Firstly, the first reaffirm our traditional friendship with the United States. Secondly, it portrays to the world the United States' continued identification with and support for Liberia. In discussion with President Reagan, I explained the causes of the Liberian Revolution and the economic problem which presently confront the country. I also avowed my country's hopes
and aspirations for the maintenance of a free enterprise system and our adhering to democratic ideals. Together, President Reagan and I discussed matters of international concern, particularly the war in Lebanon and independence for Namibia.
Done, and they will continue the planting.
Mr. President, the fact that you are getting involved in planting these crops, I think is good news for Liberian farmers, because once you are planting this crop, I think you will continue to champion the cause of the need for higher prices for Liberian produce, such as coffee, cocoa, bananas, and name it. Is that right, sir?
Well, yes, I know for sure that no country can survive without food. And our foreign friends got a way of telling our people that we cannot grow rice, that rice cannot grow on our soil, which is very false. And so I can remember in the late 60s or early 50s, our people used to get preserved from malaria. Everything that they eat, they grow themselves. But now that they got the motor rule, everybody want to be in malaria. They don't want to work on the farm. So our people begin reluctant. They all depend on Pusawa. So the only thing to do is to continue to appeal to our people that to grow food is good. And so we should continue to encourage them until we can realize that the food is important.
Hundreds of men were packed up in the container and burned to death. And the wise men didn't move on the right footing. So what I did, I had no remorse. I had no remorse. If they had documents to give me in answers to my allegations or complaints, they would have sent it to me on the base. Rather than moving me from my base to the marshal, Duka marshal, to only begin to read, answer, and think. So I punished them the way I thought it would be better. Thank God that they even live. Because with the death of my great men in combat, I was confused. I would have done anything to them. But I calmed myself down and I said, well, the only thing they would do is to drink to get more water.
As a well-trained military personnel, what was the rationale behind you deciding or allowing the capture, the trial, and the death of the late President Doe to be on camera?
Sir, I forgot to bring it. I have a video clip. It used to be on the market here. When Tolbert was brutal in his pajamas, it was televised. That's why it's on tape. When Kwangba was either told the son pills, I don't think they killed him, or whatever happened. They exhibited Kwangba's body, cutting him to pieces and sharing the parts. So what they did to Tolbert, they did to Kwangba, and what they did to Kwangba happened to Doe. Everything that happened to Tolbert was on camera. When they put the 13 people, all people like that, killed them and put them in mass grave, it was on camera. If you did, I have it. I thought it was in my bed. I was going to give it to you because I brought it as an exhibit to give you. It's home. When those say you leave your country, I will finish everybody. I will turn them back to dust. I could not allow that to happen with my tactical training in me. I couldn't.
You said, taking you back, that you people traveled to Libya for training. How long did you remain in Libya while undergoing training?
So it was almost 2 years, almost 2 years. In Tajura camp, almost 2 years.
It is generally presumed that the rationale behind NPFL declaring war against Sierra Leone was because it hosted ECMO and also actively participated in the formation of ECMO. But in your statement, you made us to understand that NPFL vowed to fight President Momo because he jailed Mr. Taylor. So that public presumption seemed not to be the root cause of attacking Celery.
Your Honor, please repeat the statement so I can give the right answer.
Tango, sunshine calling, emergency over. Tango, this is sunshine. If you are listening to me, this emergency over. Tango, come in. I want to speak with Mr. Porter or the U.S. ambassador over. We are men. Yes. I don't play with people. I'll fool you. I will kill you. I told the Nigerian man, I don't want to kill you. I told him, take Joe in the ship. All the officers should go. And the men were hesitant. I said, I don't want to shoot Joe. I issue order not to fire you. Take Joe in the ship. They didn't want to do it. Guys, the people call for reinforcement. While we were talking to President Matter, they sent 3 RPG our position is failed. So I ordered to fire you, your men, and protect your life. And I'm a humanitarian. If I spare you, people may come. They can't come, I'll get you now. All those connected, I will free them. They fool you. I know what I will do. You know what brought it out today? I was at the island clinic. Listen. I come in. I heard you have come. Please. I want to say something. Wait now. Show you my way. Now sit down. Then come on. Go. I've got to leave. I came to meet you. When I came, one of your officers, they scanned my toilet. Then I got on the stand and get him in. Then he started me. He's the president for the government general. Then they told me. And right there, order to disarm the disarming. And I said, you fought the ball. The open machine gun. All your people are saying, nobody lives. You know one. You keep plenty of penal order. May you order. Look, I'm a commander from Cuba and Libya. You don't fuck with me. Then one president, why is that?
Minga's first mistake when he came to Banga. He was very demanding. They just wanted what's for Firestone to be for Firestone. And after the talks broke off, we insisted that they have to send someone we can work with.
Naturally, Taylor wants everything his way, and Don didn't. He wanted it Firestone's way. So it's probably 2 guys butting heads.
Firestone sent Ensminger's boss in Akron, John Schremp, to get things back on track.
John Schremp and there was another guy. They came, they met with Taylor, and Taylor said, look, you abandoned your people. What about them? When you come back, what can you do for them? What are you going to give them back pay? What?
Charles Taylor insisted on a number of conditions. Among them would be that the Firestone would recognize that he had a de facto government, and that if Firestone came back, it would treat his government as the Liberian government and the government that it must deal with.
Besides those demands, Taylor made one more ultimatum. Ensminger had to go.
Did Firestone essentially acquiesce to Taylor's demands?
Yes, absolutely. It was clear that without that, you would not be able to put a management team on the ground.
Soon after, Ensminger was dismissed.
I was not held in the United States for any crime. Extradition, the only thing that has to be determined in the case of extradition are 2 questions. 1, is there a treaty? If yes. 2, if that person is returned to his country, would his rights be observed? Those are the only 2 questions. I do not think the United States was comfortable with me returning to Liberia. And I was held in a maximum security setup. And I was not a soldier. I've never been a soldier in my life. And a lot of people helped me to get out. But the full story will come out in my book.
Mr. President, would you like to visit the U.S. again?
I would like to. I think for a Liberian, unless you have it rightly made with the United States, unless they understand you and you understand them, I think there will always be problems and Liberia would not develop. So as a former president and one who in the future will have a role in Liberia, it is important for me to go. I respect the United States. It's the world's only superpower. So I think being quote unquote in good books with them, I think is good for not just for me, but for Liberia.
We were the largest employer in Liberia.
Whoever was going to run Liberia needed Firestone.
It appeared to us Firestone was financing at least a part of Taylor's insurrection.
They were prepared to do Taylor's bidding.
It was a real dilemma for the company, but I believe they were the right decisions.
Firestone's intent was to make money. Always has and always will.